And we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the next episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. And let me start off by saying, if you came here for a season review of St. Louis City, we do not have it for you. If you came here for it's a great weekend to be a United fan, we don't have it here for you. Both of those things are going to be absent in our podcast today. But boy, do we have a spicy and juicy one for you. I will be your host this week at Hayfee4 on Twitter. That thing's been silent and dead for a long time. Maybe I try to revive it. Who knows? That might be wishful thinking. But let's introduce the fellows that I have on here with me today. Let's start it off with the man who is actually at the top of the table at the moment, and it's not the beginning of the year. Mr. Winkleman, how are we doing?
What's up, boys? Good to see you. Yeah, I'm happy that we don't have to talk United, but I think I'd be remiss to not bring up one of the reasons why half of our United corner is not here. I want to give a special congratulations to our usual host, Mr. Henry Wine, on the birth of his baby girl on Friday. So they are now at home trying to figure everything out, and I'm sure are absolutely exhausted. I did have a small bet in the back of my mind that I almost texted you guys about if he and Paige did come home from the hospital today, if he would find a way to come on even for like 10 minutes. It wouldn't have surprised me.
Oh, I still think that's a high chance. Like we've been messaging in
For
here
him
that
to just
we're like
pop in
having
on his
troubles.
phone
I
or
can see
something.
him totally popping in at some
Yeah.
point. Just
But no, we're stoked for him and his family, obviously, and everybody's healthy and good. So, that's most important here. But
yes, huge shout out.
yeah,
Another dad on the pod, man. Soon enough, we will be the soccer dads. We're just gonna
it's
transform.
just you and I now that are left on that.
Wow.
That's crazy. But no, I guess second best behind Hen's news is the Gooners are still the top of the table, and the point differential continues to increase as Liverpool continues to lose, which I know is something we can all get behind. So, very happy to be here.
We're always happy to have you. Hey, you guys have been at the top of the table a couple times in the last couple of years at this point, so we'll see how the rest of the season goes. For another man, though, who had 3 points this weekend, Mr. Andy Hoover. How are we feeling over there, brother?
Good, man. Pumped to be in the position that I'm in. It's I've talked about this in the past, that like sometimes you look bad, but the results still fall your way, and you can get behind that. At some point you want things to change and get better and look better and have a better identity. But when 3 points keep falling, especially at first team to win at Everton's new stadium, Everton's never been a good place to go. Arsenal, I think they were your guys' bogey team the last few years. Like, I think everyone would agree that that's a tough place to go and grab 3 points, and they did it rather commandingly. So, hanging on 5 points from 3 games in the Champions League, sitting third, I think, right now. Really good goal differential. We're just not giving up goals, which is awesome. And we are the newest addition to London's Set Piece FC. So, you know what? I've seen worse things. I've been a part of worse things. We're going to ride it out while we've got it. So, here we go.
It's not bad anymore.
It
It's
sucks.
not a bad thing.
But it could be worse.
Long throws and set pieces are here to stay. It's unfortunate, but I have a feeling that is the new Premier League. So everyone better get used to it. But before we dive into obviously the Premier League, which we love to talk about, luckily for us three, we are all supporting teams who play in the Champions League this year.
Hey.
So we get to hit on the Champions League ties that happened over the week. And honestly, I just wanted to talk about these because I could talk about a win from Chelsea. Because if we did not talk about Champions League, I would be talking about the miserable performance that we had over the weekend. So luckily for me, we did have Champions League games. And let me tell you, you guys probably saw there were so many goals. The number of goals that happened during this Champions League week was absolutely insane. Barcelona won 6-1. Arsenal won 4-0 over Atletico Madrid. Bayern Leverkusen and PSG was 7-2. Dortmund had 4. Newcastle scored 3. PSV won 6-2 over Napoli. Like,
That
the
was
amount
nuts.
of goals that are going in during the Champions League is absolutely crazy. I mean, Chelsea had 5. Liverpool had 5. So the goals were definitely happening this week in the Champions League. But wanted to start it off with the Arsenal game. Arsenal taking down Atletico Madrid 4-0 in this one. The man Gyökeres getting on the score sheet for you guys. I obviously was talking
Should
about
I grab
it in
the mask?
You can grab it if you want, but I was
I
talking.
wouldn't be flexing those goals by any
I
means.
was about to bring it up.
Goals are goals are goals.
I was about to bring it up as he gets on the score sheet and JP's dominating performance by him. They were definitely tap-ins, and I wasn't by any means blown away. I wanted to kind of get your thoughts, obviously, on the game as a whole, but also kind of how he's playing and him finding the back of the net.
Yeah.
Tap-ins might even be generous. One of them was a pass that got deflected.
Yeah.
So you guys know me as a realist when it comes to that. I think Gyökeres dominated in ways, but I wouldn't call it a dominating performance by him over Atletico Madrid. A team domination, absolutely. That was a statement win of all statement wins. I don't think any of us have seen Atletico Madrid look that bad in a while. But we delivered in almost every facet of the game, tactically, physically, mentally. I think the 4-0 scoreline sort of flattens what, should have been a more competitive game than it was, but I think that defensively we dominated, keeping that team to one shot on target and a clean sheet is something that doesn't happen too often. I think that we talk about it a lot when it comes to the difference between the Premier League and La Liga as far as physicality goes too. I think that, our Premier League teams just bring a different side of physicality that, when these La Liga or French or German teams aren't fast enough to just outpace everybody, they have to go up against a lot of bodies getting thrown around, and when those bodies are getting thrown by our back line and by Declan Rice, it's hard for them to create with that. But our opening goal came from a set piece, obviously. Dude, we're just so good at them. For a while it was like, okay, like, yeah, we're great, but we're gonna have to figure out other ways to score. But we just keep fucking scoring them. I don't know what our percentage of scoring off of set pieces is, but I think it's pretty fucking high.
I think I saw you guys score
Isn't
set
it like
pieces at a
50%?
57% clip.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
That is unbelievable. I know.
That's ridiculous.
Annoying as it may be to convert goals off of that often. I would have to do research, and I should have.
Than Steph Curry making a 3.
Yeah. I love that take. That's insane. So
That's insane.
Yeah, so defensively, transitioning, just the balance all over the field was really good, and I think similarly to Fulham last week, we didn't sort of overcommit, especially when we got the league. We managed the game really well. Being at home was obviously a big factor in that too. The Emirates was loud, confidence was high. I think in the first half we were a little less decisive, and there were points in that game where Raya was roaming outside of the box, and I think there was some risk factors that didn't necessarily need to be taken in that game, but we managed the game really well. We are 3-0 in the Champions League now. The group stage trajectory looks great. I think that it's going to be interesting to see through the rest of the Champions League as far as we make it, hopefully all the way, how teams that we don't play as often, like in the Premier League, are forced to prepare against us, especially when it comes to set pieces. But this momentum for us in the Champions League and in the Premier League is great. So I'm super happy with that statement win. I know the boys are too, and they carried it into the game against Palace over the weekend that I know we'll touch on. But we look like a tough team to beat right now, a tough team to score on, let alone
For sure, agree on that. And I think, no, you can't sugarcoat 4-0 against Atletico Madrid's a great result, but it definitely is showing Atletico's cracks at the seam because I think I heard somewhere today, I watched a little bit of their game today, and they have not won. I think they've only won half their games where they scored first. Like they are really struggling from an offensive point of view, and then just being able to keep goals out. They're not capitalizing on their opportunities. Not that they really had a ton, to be honest, even against you guys, but like I can confidently say, and I think you would agree, nobody saw that scoreline coming. Like that's their bread and butter is Haram ball, and I anticipated the Haram ball derby as it just being a defensive, tough battle out, low block versus low block. But no way around it. I mean, you pummel them like that, you're going to take it every day of the week, and I think you guys are a force to be reckoned with at the moment.
Yeah, I also think
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I think one other thing to note was when the group stage draws first came out, I think we were picked to have one of the easiest draws as a team in the top two groups goes. And I think this was supposed to be on paper our toughest opponent in the group stage. So while our group was definitely easier than some, not having to play a PSG or Real Madrid or Barcelona, I know that it's only going to get tougher from here. So
yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with what you were saying as far as like the Premier League and the physicality and the level that they play in our league in the Premier League week in and week out, I think is at such a level that when we go and play some of these other teams in these other divisions, it is very obvious. And I think like, especially in yours, like early on in the game, like I thought it was going to be close. And then as the game continued to wind down and you guys kind of just continued to press and like continue to put the dominating side on it, like I don't think they had any real answer. And I have a feeling that's a well-known thing or a similarity throughout other teams that aren't in the Premier League, unfortunately.
They just don't have the subs that you guys do. Your guys' depth is probably some of the best in the league. And then you even look at the Crystal Palace game, and it was 0.1 XG versus 0.2. Like they couldn't generate anything against you, but you couldn't really generate a ton against them, and you guys wiped the floor with Atletico Madrid. So it's a shout to Palace's quality as much as it is a shout to just how not good Madrid are.
Yeah, and I know we'll talk about that game, but Palace has been insane, especially after losing the players they lost in the summer.
Well, honestly, the reason why I bring it up is because I thought there was a lot of similarities with Ajax as well. Like, and I think that's the transition into the Chelsea Ajax game, which was 5-1. Like going into it, I was expecting like, okay, like Ajax is a decent side. I think they're fourth in their league right now, or third in their league right now. So I was like, okay, like I was expecting like a pretty competitive game.
Better game.
I think we came in there and pretty much dominated them. And it was definitely one of those things where like, yeah, we kind of scored early, but it was like definitely not as smooth in the beginning. And then I think we kind of figured it out. They also got a red in the 15th, which drastically helped us.
you gotta lead with that, brother. That changes games.
Definitely does. But I also think even without that red, like I have a feeling it was going to not obviously the same score line, but I think the result would have been the same. You could tell just by the physicality and how we were playing that we would eventually get to them and find the back in that.
And I think you guys ended up blowing your wad of goals on Ajax too when it came to the weekend.
That is correct. Also, the lineups were drastically different, which once again we will talk about when we get to that one. But obviously, still a win in the Champions League. A lot of the big thing I want to hit on was we broke another record. Chelsea out here breaking records. First team ever to have 3 teenagers score in a Champions League game. I think that's absolutely
crazy.
sick. we had Mark Guiu score, Estevao score, and George score. So all three of them finding the net I thought was awesome. I also think like
Estevao, the new penalty merchant.
well, I don't care about that. I think the one thing I want to hit on with this is the fact that Enzo Fernandez gave Estevao the pen in that. And like 2 years ago to a year ago, we literally had Nani Madwicki and Nico Jackson fighting over penalties.
That was awesome.
Throwing hissy fits when Cole Palmer was taking them. So the fact that we are now at a level to where our captain is giving the ball to an 18-year-old to get his Champions League goal, I think is awesome.
I'm looking at his player review from the game, and obviously he was man of the match, but he looked like he had a pretty good game outside of losing the most duels out of both teams the entire match. Everything else looks good though.
Yeah, he's been fun to watch. It's one of those things where I like. There's a lot of hype and a lot of talk. I want to see goals and I want to see assists. I think he has it in him, and I think he's talented and has the playmaking ability. I want to see it.
Yeah, and I could make the same. I've made the same claim about like Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray. It's like there's gonna be a growing period, man. The only one that I've ever seen that's doing it like he's doing it is Lamine Yamal at the age that he's doing it. It's just not natural. That's not really a standard expectation. Because I agree. I think he's actually a really exciting player. But there's a lot of growth and game management and understanding of how it flows that will come with just time. Honestly.
Yep. Henry and Dobes thought Garnacho was going to be something special. So like, I don't want to be too quick on this by any means.
They did apologize. They came out and said, or Dobes said, I apologize for how I felt about Garnacho in the moment and when he was at United, and I thought that took a lot of balls from him.
A lot of growth from him. Proud of you, Dobes.
A lot of growth from Dobes. Yep.
Yeah. But obviously, one of the other games in the Champions League, the Tottenham Hotspurs tying Monaco 0-0 draw. How boring was that game, Mr. Hoover? Because I can tell you.
Dude, of all the games, bro, we got Galatasaray scoring 3, Bayern scores 4, Chelsea scores 5, Liverpool scores 5. It sucked, bro. I think it was probably our worst performance of the year. Vicario made 7 to 8 unbelievable saves. I was
about to say, looking at the stat line, Monaco should have had about 3 or 4.
Dude, Monaco shit the bed. Like, they could have pummeled us. It was an embarrassingly flat performance. And truthfully, dude, I've been critical of Vicario, and I think this one really reinstates his shot stopping ability. It just definitely shows that he does have quality. He's just, every keeper to a certain degree is just a friggin' bonehead, and he's a bonehead sometimes, but when it really matters, he made some big saves in the Europa League final last year. He made another 2 massive saves against Everton at the weekend. It's you got to eat your words every once in a while. He just is able to pull saves out of his ass, and that was really the takeaway from the game. Like it just wasn't good enough. The level wasn't high enough. The quality was not great. Shocker when Xavi Simons comes on in the 60th, we start to actually get some ability going forward. I'm not. Yeah, I do, but he's got a lot to figure out too. Like it's the talent level is obvious. It's the decision making that has been disappointing. He's extremely right-footed. It's not even like he refuses to use his left foot. Nicky, we talked about his attempted Rabona assist a couple of weeks back. All he had to do was get it on his left foot, and he's feeding someone straight through it, and Richie straight through on net. But I think all of this comes with growth, experience. It's obviously a different league. He's not going to be able to boss games like he did in the Bundesliga. He's going to come good. I don't think anyone's super concerned about that. It is disappointing though for your big money signing, your star player, your one of your top played players to not click after a couple of weeks. And he's not a 007. Luckily, 2 assists in his first game. That made a world of difference. But you see the quality. It's disappointing to not see it come together. I think there's still, in the same side of the coin, Frank is figuring it out too. Like I texted you guys before the Everton game. Bentancur, Polina, double pivot were hosed. Like I literally was like, Everton's got this one in the bag. But same thing at Monaco. It's just the lack of ability to progress the ball through the middle of the field, especially when he's not on the pitch, is damning. And his reluctance to play Pape Sarr, who's balling. I think he was voted, or he's in the running for African Player of the Year. Like, someone tell Tommy Frank that we've got this absolute gem on the bench in the midfield, and Polina is undroppable. So the problem is Bentancur doesn't bring the same level of physicality and really shoring up defense that Polina does, but he also can't really progress balls out of the back very well. So it's a weird thing that I think he's being super cautious of the defensive structure, which he is, and it's working. Like, you're going, to Monaco in the Champions League, and you're leaving with a clean sheet. There's positives you can take from that, but like, damn, dude, sometimes it's just boring. His sub selection is questionable. Starting lineups are questionable. But like I said in the intro, dude, it's working a little bit. We're not out of anything yet. We've got Newcastle midweek in the EFL Cup, and that'll be an extremely good test, I think, of our rotational ability. Who we start is going to say a lot. He wants to win a trophy. He's been outspoken about that, and this is a good opportunity to do it. So, yeah, man, it's just all with time. I'm sure things will come. The fluidity of the attack will come, but it's just choppy right now. Very defensive, very defensively focused, boring up top.
I think all three of us are defenders, and we understand the importance of figuring out your defense first. Obviously, like we're talking about it, Arsenal has figured it out and has put them in some pretty good situations. If you are able to have a clean sheet the entire game and just need one opportunity to score a goal, you will always set yourself up for success. So I think that's huge for you guys that you are focusing on that side. And I think I've said it multiple times in this podcast that fully healthy, your back four is one of the better ones. So if you guys continue to get experience with that back four without getting injured, I think it's just going to strengthen them and they'll continue to get better. And we'll even talk about it later, but I mean, Mickey can score goals too, so that helps as well.
So awesome.
All of our teams are in action next week in the Champions League, Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm looking at the games right now. There's not that many spicy ones. There's obviously one or two because it's the Champions League. So Real Madrid plays Liverpool, and then the other big one is Bayern.
I think that's going to be an absolute pump fest,
dude. It might be, bro. Who do you think? Not the team that just lost to Brentford. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
I think Brentford takes Real pretty deep. I'm kidding. I don't think it's gonna be a pump fest. I think, like I've said a couple of times, the Premier League's a hard league to win in, and I think it's a coin flip for them anytime that Liverpool and Real Madrid play. I would be interested to see if Trent gets a start, though. That would be electric.
Is he?
That game is at Anfield.
Is he playing?
Electric. He is. Like, I don't think he has been. Like, I think he's been riding the bench and coming off for Carvajal every once in a while. Let me double check. Let me look at some of these recent games.
Or they've been having Valverde play right back too.
Yes, Valverde played. Yeah, he has not been playing, dude. And he's on.
That's got to be tough to know that you've got an OG strong right back to take a place, and then the defensive mid that it comes in and is above you on the pecking order still. Bro, that's got to suck.
So,
but
I feel like Valverde is just one of those guys that could go to a lot of teams and start in 6 different positions.
I was going to say majority of the positions. You're right.
He's awesome.
Yeah, in the last 3 games, he's played a total of 13 minutes.
So they'll put him in an extra time when they're up 5-0.
So, that's not a great look for the guy. But, yeah, they play next week. That'll be a spicy one.
There's another good one, though.
Yeah, good one.
PSG Bayern.
Yep.
Ooh, that's going to rip. In my opinion, with Arsenal, two of the best teams in the Champions League right now.
I
no
agree.
question.
Harry Kane right now is...
Everyone's just starting to wake up to what Spurs fans have known for forever.
Well,
It's
I think we've all
unbelievable.
known it. It's just nice to like that he's actually getting it on a stage.
Yeah, I don't have to hate. I don't have to hate watch him.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's
As
playing
bad.
one of the best teams in the world right now and doing it. And it's like, okay, Harry Kane.
Change out the lenses on that one, and everyone's like, "Oh, wow, he's one of the best players in the world." Like, yeah, dude, he carried us. That's so obvious.
Yeah, dude's phenomenal. But spicy ones next week. Moving past the Champions League and into the Premier League, I'll get it out of the way first because we were actually, I think, the first game out of all of us. Chelsea falls to Sunderland 2-1. I'm gonna be honest with you boys. I was not expecting this scoreline, and boy, do I feel bad.
I would bet not.
Well, we say that, but also Sunderland's had a good start to their season. They're not a bad side by any means. And so I was thinking we were going to come in and have a dominating performance. That is by no means what happened. There's a couple of things that I could hit on that I really don't even want to. And I hate saying this out loud because I fucking hate him. But Xhaka just absolutely bossed our midfield. I freaking hate that wank. He is such a wank.
Dog.
Oh, horrendous.
Similar lens from me and Harry Kane. I love what he's doing right now. It is so much fun.
Everybody loved it when he was doing it at Leverkusen too.
Yeah, for sure.
I just hate that guy. I've always hated him. I just don't like him at all. But he bossed our midfield, and it was very evident. Our lineup was quite interesting. We had João Pedro playing as the 10 role, and we started Mark Guiu. Also, we started Garnacho. He obviously got on the score sheet for us with an early goal. He megged the keeper on kind of like a beat his one defender, almost looked like he was crossing it, put it on net, megged the goalie. Did his little celebration that he did at United where he stands on the side. It was all really cheesy, and I didn't like it at all. He also was doing this.
Now you want to talk about a player that I just hate.
Yeah,
He
wears Chelsea blue, and I don't like
Xhaka
him,
and Garnacho are not on the same level.
You're right.
Yeah.
Just way bigger of a wank. But even though he got on the score sheet, he was still subbed, which I thought that was the right move. Obviously, one of the moves that I thought was questionable was we pulled Josh, our young center back, off in the 76th minute and brought in Tosin. I did not like that move whatsoever. I thought Josh was playing well. I also think Tosin is not the best at counter-attacking defending, which was kind of what we were dealing with when playing Sunderland because they were kind of sitting in a low block and just counter-attacking us. So why we would put someone in there that isn't good at defending on the counter doesn't make sense to me. And obviously their winning goal was just, as a center back, I wanted to throw up because you guys, I hope, both know that I would have absolutely blown him up if he tried to do that stuff.
I'm giving up a penalty before I'm letting him.
Both of them sitting there watching him body him like that hurts my soul. And
the amount of time that they gave him to turn on that ball. Like, who was on his back?
It was
Reese?
No,
that was Tosin. Who was the other one?
Chalaba was the one who was in the space.
Dude,
I know.
Close the man. Did you see how much time they had?
I know.
He had all day to make that pass backwards.
Brother,
like, there was
screaming at my TV.
The screenshot of him with not one other player in view on the broadcast. Yeah. You close him. Yep. That was unreal defending.
I think you said it, but that was like the most championship goal I'd ever seen.
Dude, are you kidding me? They lobbed one up, guy gets to it, and then just waits for the cavalry.
Like genuinely, in the Premier League, I think that's the longest I've ever seen a striker be able to hold onto a ball with someone on his back. Like genuinely.
In the box.
Yeah.
Like 8 yards out from net, dude. Oh, that was I understand where your head's at because I would have been throwing things at the TV.
Yeah,
Like,
was not thrilled. And I said this last week, and I'll say it again. I don't like. Obviously, we have a lot of depth. Obviously, we have a lot of young talent. But I don't like this experimenting in the Premier League games. Like, I feel like his lineups in the Champions League are what our 11 should be, and then we come to these Premier League games, and they're not. They're hodgepodges that we're just throwing together to get people minutes and see if they can get hot, and it's not working for us at the moment. And I don't want to take away from Sunderland because I thought they played well, and the fact that they're in the top 4 right now is actually crazy. They're obviously going to be staying up. Obviously, I don't know if they're going to be staying in the top 4 for long, but they're definitely a side that looks really good. They have a good core, and they score on the counter. So, like, it works for them at the moment.
I saw a tweet that was like, we should all just loan our best players to them in January so that they can make a title run.
I would hate that because as long as Arsenal doesn't win, I'm completely okay.
You and me both, brother.
Moving quickly past because we don't have any United representation whatsoever.
We can glance on it.
That's what I was going to say. They did take down Brighton 4-2. And for my fantasy team, I was thrilled because I just got Cunha on the odds. So seeing him get on the score. Oh, you got Mbeumo. So
I had Mbeumo. That was a big one for him.
Mbeumo's looking good.
Obviously, Manchester now has, I don't think it's official yet, but they're about to win 5 in a row for the first time in like.
Oh, I hope you are jinxing the hell out of that.
I know, that's what I'm trying to do.
Guess who that 5th game's against too? The team that they lost to 5 times last year. The old tricky Tottenham Hotspur.
I hope you.
Love
I
that
hope
for you.
God, this is tough to.
Dang, Spurs got some schedule coming up.
Yeah, for sure. That dude, it would make me sick. The first time in they haven't beat us in 3 years. Yeah. So if this dude gets to cut his hair because they beat Spurs for the first time in 3 years, I'd be so pissed, bro. That would suck.
Oh, that would be incredible. I did think it was cool that Danny Welbeck is kind of having like a career rejuvenation.
I love that dude.
He's sitting on the score sheet. I heard a crazy take that he was going to get some England shouts in the World Cup, and I think that is wild. But hey, we'll see. Like someone was saying, like, hey, for his experience, he's been playing. I'm like, holy cow, that's crazy. Imagine starting him. And then Danny Welbeck coming off the bench.
That's insane. I will say, for one, Cunha's goal was really good. I think that was a slick finish. I like Cunha too. He's fun to watch. Dobes is right about that. He was fun to watch at Wolves. That was all they had for a little bit. But I did watch Danny Welbeck outpace Diego Dallo in the first 20 minutes, and I laughed out loud. I texted Dobes and Hen and was just like, there's no way I just saw that happen. He beat him on a flat sprint to whip across it, and I was like, that's awesome. That Dallo guy is something.
Yeah, getting smoked by 40-year-old Danny Welbeck.
What is that one? You put his brain in a dog or in a horse and he'd bark. I love that insult.
That's a good one. But hey, they're on a little hot streak, them United boys over there. So we got to give them credit. Also, I will keep saying they're winning their games that they need to win. The Premier League is the only thing that they really need to be worried about right now. And if they're getting 3 points week in and week out, that's good for them. All right, moving forward, the other game that doesn't have representation, but we have to absolutely hit on, Liverpool falls once again. What happened?
What happened?
Brentford takes down Liverpool 3-2. And before we get into this, I do want to give a shout out. I was at a wedding this weekend, and the groom who was getting married was a Liverpool fan, and he got married as this game was going on, and I thought that was absolutely crazy. And so literally for the reception, I kept looking at him, and he'd go, "Fuck off! Stop bringing it up,
dude!
Not today."
I will also say it was really cute. The priest, as they announced the new Mr. and Mrs. yada yada yada, he ended it with, "And you now truly will never walk alone," which I thought was pretty.
Oh, that was nice.
Cool. All right, but anyway, Liverpool falls to Brentford 3-2. Liverpool not finding form of late, and honestly, it's kind of the trend of this pod, and I'll hit it on first. The defense, they're leaking goals. They are leaking goals. And I really do think they're never going to sign a 30-year-old to an extended contract ever again, because Virgil van Dijk by no means is, I think, putting up clean sheets like he used to. That back line is leaky. But wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the overall game.
You're 100% right. And I don't think anyone was ever really concerned about their offensive output. Like, they come in and they bring in these big dogs, and Ekitike is still that guy. And
he's so good. Holy shit.
They've given up 14 goals in the league. That's not even including the Champions League. Like,
Chelsea won a whole season allowing 15, which is just absurd.
That's unsustainable from anybody, dude. That's unsustainable from who else has Fulham's given up 14 goals and they're sitting in 17th. So, like, look, I know a thing or two about leaking goals and still having offensive output. It is not sustainable. I can absolutely confirm you that you will finish 17th. You may end up with a Europa League trophy, but you just can't let him in like that. It's that Kirkes guy, dude, not who they thought he was. VVD is slowly on the decline. I mean, you could probably pick a spot on that field.
Yeah, no, I think his decline is now also showing how bad Konate was. Like, I think Konate was getting carried by Virgil for so long, and it's now, like, very obvious that, like, Virgil had been doing that for a while. And I agree with you completely. Kirkes is, like, yeah, he's getting them goals, and he might help them offensively a little bit, but he is by no means what Andy Robertson was when he was in his peak, and they need to kind of figure that out. I will say,
his brain goes blank on the back post. It's insane.
As much as we're dogging them, they are in 7th. Like, they're 3 points behind 2nd. So, like, the fact that they've had this bad of form of late and they're still, like, kind of around is still, like, Jesus. That means they got an okay squad, but they are definitely on a losing streak right now.
Four straight losses in the league.
4 in a row, which is wild. I would love to know when's the last time they've lost 4 in a row in the league. Obviously, I can't be able to look that up real quickly. But yeah, they fall. Brentford also, though, like, I thought they played well too. Like, by no means was that gonna be an easy game for Liverpool. And I thought they came and stood their ground and had a good game.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a team that's been rated through and through for everything. Like, they are a shell of themselves from last year.
Yep. Alrighty. So moving on to the next fixture, Arsenal game, we can talk about 1-0 win over Crystal Palace. Lucas Winkelmann. Another one of those games that I'm gonna keep talking about. It sounds like a broken record again.
This game was extremely similar. This game was extremely similar to the Fulham game, in my opinion.
100%.
Wasn't like, overly exciting at all, but strategically sound. I think the defense continues to do the heavy lifting in large part, but from the lens of a team that's contending for the title, I think this is the kind of game you win, or for this to be the kind of game that you win when you aren't, like, at your absolute best, goes a long way, because I think last year we weren't doing that, especially in the second half of the season. I talked all the time about we just got to win the games that we're supposed to win and we'll be fine. Like, we had a great record against the Big Six last year, but it was losing twice to West Ham, losing to Everton, and just losing games that we shouldn't have is what fucked us. And so it's really nice to see back-to-back weeks, two teams that have the ability to beat a lot of clubs in this league. It is a big deal. We kept another clean sheet. I know I texted about it in our group, but we have had 10 clean sheets out of 13 games this season. 3 goals allowed across those 13 games in all competitions is fucking nuts, especially when we've gotten through probably one of the roughest parts of our away fixtures so far, at least against the top teams in the league. So to do that, I was looking up some stats because this game, like I said, wasn't very different from the Fulham game, so I wanted some other takeaways to sort of bring into this. At this point in the season last year, I couldn't find what our XG was through 13 games, but we were scoring a lot less than our XG was showing we should have, and right now we're scoring more than what our XG shows us. So I think last year I talked about it a lot that we should have won these games. Like on paper, we were supposed to score here, but we just weren't. And now we're doing it, and we're outpacing our XG, which I think is a really important stat for a team that's contending for anything. So I think that's one big difference from last year. I think the other point is the amount of clean sheets we've had so far. I think David Raya was the man of the match in that game, but he, you know, faced one shot on goal, um, which I've always felt it was kind of weird that to give a keeper the man of the match when he only had to save one shot. But all to say, he's been great. It's not like we've gotten in scenarios where the opponent, the away team or whatever does get a couple chances and he makes a mistake and lets one in. I think that he's saving what he's supposed to be saving, and outside of that, we're not giving them many opportunities to do so. So it was a really good game. Like I said, wasn't super crazy, but having Eze get the game winning goal in the 39th minute off a sick volley off of a set piece, but was the second touch off of a header that went out towards the top of the box, and just great volley. Didn't celebrate against his old club. But super special for him, I think, and his sort of development here at Arsenal, especially getting to play that 10 role while Odegaard stays out. I think he does bring a different kind of creativity to the midfield, and he's just been a joy.
What's up with Saliba and Rice? Were they actually injured, or was it all precautionary?
Probably precautionary. I haven't read anything about it since, but Rice.
I didn't watch a link of this, so
I figured you didn't. Yeah, I mean, Rice went down and was grabbing his hamstring, I think. And they took him off like later in the game. I think he'll be fine, but with us having been up at the time, it was also probably partially, just dragging the game out and time wasting a little bit. But Gabrielle is fine, which is good to hear. And assuming Rice doesn't miss any games, another weekend or another week of 2 games without, knocking on wood here, without getting a serious injury from our team, is something that I'm going to continue to celebrate, because this time last year that wasn't always the case. And you talked about it during the Atletico Madrid game, but our bench is the best it's ever been. We're the deepest we've ever been, and so I think one big way to keep it that way is to avoid injuries at all costs, and sort of rotate games. And I think that next week against Slavia Prague will be one of those that we see, a Max Dauman and a Wanyeri and etc. I think this was Nkappi's first game playing for us. Came on in this, what was it? I have it up here. 82nd minute.
I got it.
So big for him. He was injured for a little bit, so I think maybe we see him and Mosquera start that game. I think that would be kind of sick. To take a look at those two at a duo. Mikel Merino probably starts. We might even see a big start from Mr. Kepa in net, but who knows there.
Top
So
dog.
that could be interesting. But we're locked to move on for the most part. So I hope that we take that opportunity next game to rotate the entire team. I still think against that team our B team beats them, but I'm not going to be sore if we decide to start, or if we don't start a single starter that's played the last handful of games in this game, and the result will be what it'll be. But I think this is a great chance that we don't have to play every dog, and I hope that we do that here and avoid major injuries.
No, I agree. I think your depth is going to be super important for you guys moving forward. I was thinking about it the other day. I think your backup wing backs both start for Liverpool. So, like, your guys' depth is wild. Like, Ben White and Lewis Skelly 100% start for Liverpool right now. So, that's a good thing for you guys at the moment right now. Moving past the 1-0 victory and on to another one that I wanted to hit on quickly before we get to Hoover, and I'm sorry. But Aston Villa takes down City, which was a huge,
that is wild.
Huge shift for the table, which I thought I was shocked by this one. I thought City was going to go into Villa or where was this one at?
It was at Villa, I think.
I thought they were going to go into Villa, and I thought it was going to be a 3-1, 4-1 dub, but obviously Villa had different plans for them. Matty Cash scoring a goal. I love his celebration. I think he's a complete wank. I
hate that guy so much.
Oh, yeah.
I hate Matty Cash. That guy sucks.
He's a dirty player. Dirty player.
Yeah. He's a wank.
City falls again. That puts them in 5th. They're now 6 points back from Arsenal, dropping points. But obviously the one that we wanted to talk about, Spurs 3, Everton 0. And the Spurs are in the top 4 at the moment. Another big 3 points for Tottenham. Hoover, how are we feeling over there?
Mickey Vanavan, Mickey Vanavan. Legend of the club already. No, for real, it's a little bit of an extension on what I glanced on in Monaco. Just lockdown defense. I think Flowers can go out to Kevin Danso too. Having a good backup center back goes so far. Like, it really, he doesn't do anything flashy, he doesn't do anything special, but he plays the position the right way, and he loves to carry the ball a little bit forward, which I think is fun. And you can do that when Mickey Van de Ven's your other one. You're muted there, Lynx. Come on.
Which I think is fun.
Yeah, I love being able to carry the ball forward. That's so fun. But yeah, I mean, it was set piece City, 2 corners, and we can talk about just being really good at set pieces, and that's it's obviously a huge thing in today's game, and we're seeing the resurgence of long throws and corners and whatever. But
over there.
I know. I'm not going to defend it completely, but you don't score these 2 goals that he scores without just absolutely disgusting deliveries. Like, the 2 balls in on the corner, Kudu's at the back post to Bentancur across the top of the box. Mickey's there. And then Pedro Porro's ball was fucking disgusting, dude. If there's one thing that he can do, it's whip one. And he even contributed in the 3rd goal to another just devious cross to Richie, who back across the front post, and Sarr couldn't miss, basically. But yeah, I mean, this one's one of those ones that's like, outside of the Beto bicycle kick attempt that Vicario made a really big save on. They had 1.72 XG. There wasn't a lot that you saw from the game that really reflected that, I don't think. Like, they were, I think, better in an offensive capacity and just free flowing and trying to get stuff on net. But it was all pretty routine for the most part.
I think that's laps. I don't think it was anything dangerous, but they were definitely in your final third. Like, the only reason I say that is because I have Drewsbury Hall in my fantasy, and there was definitely a moment where I was like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah.
So they were definitely they had chances, but you're right. None of them that were like, "Oh my god, that was so close from going in" type moments.
Right, and Beto's was for sure. And honestly, dude, I'm still terrified of Jack Grealish. We're up 2-0 in the 75th minute, and I'm like, he's still on the wing, dude. Like, you never really know what he can pull out of his bag.
Probably draw a foul somewhere.
100%. I love Jack Grealish, so it's like I hate playing him because he's so fun to watch. He's
having a great season too.
Yeah, he really is.
I think it was one of those guys that will always be successful in a not top 6 side. Like, he needs to to have the ball at his foot. He needs to. I also think like he just draws a lot of fouls, which is really good for those sides who need a lot of free kicks to help them win and score and win games. So I think it plays perfectly.
And he was a huge, contributing factor to the city treble season 2 years ago. And I think everyone, he's gonna leave with that reputation, but he just needs to play, bro. At some point, you just got to play, and you're watching him be the talisman on this team. But even he couldn't break down the defensive structure that Tottenham had, which is really there's where all the credit needs to go. Vicario had another good game. Mickey Van de Ven's just an absolute dog. He will make a boneheaded mistake here and there, but I'm seeing them less and less frequently. It's just becoming more no nonsense for him. And I love watching him in a one-on-one just track a defender down. Guy's got a breakaway. Nope, just kidding. You actually don't. There's Mickey's long-ass legs. He stays healthy. Romero's coming back, I think, in the next week or so. But as long as Mickey's out there for the time being, Kevin Danso can fill that role. He's not the passer that Romero is, but he's so solid. There were a lot of positives. Another clean sheet. We're tied in second with Sunderland and somebody else with the second least amount of goals given up in the league thus far at 7. So, you take that. It's Tottenham, Sunderland, and City have given up 7. Best is Arsenal at 3, and then, everyone else, Villa at 8 from there. So those are all good things. It's not always super pretty. It's definitely just grinding out wins. But again, super tough place to go. The weather was terrible. Brand new stadium. First team to win at Everton's new stadium. They were undefeated until then. But there's a lot of really good takeaways. And you can sit and gripe and complain about like Villa's loss last week and whatever have you. But you're sitting in third. End of the day. It's kind of where you want to be. It's where you want to stay. And if you don't give up a ton of goals, you tend to stay that way. And, offense can come after. But, a comprehensive win. And it felt good after midweek to really, really put down their foot on what they can build on as a really positive performance. So happy with it. Really tough stretch of games coming up for sure. We got Chelsea at the weekend, I do believe. I will be sat for that one. I think it'll be a really good game, to be honest. Your guys is
brother.
I'm down. I'm in.
I'm down.
Well, we can. I would go to. It's not a Europa League final. It's not a big final. I would go to the pub for that one if we want to. 12:30 is a great time slot for an afternoon Guinness. So we'll see. We'll really see the character and quality of this team over the next couple of weeks. I saw something. It was like Mickey hobbled off of the end of the game, not concerned about it apparently from the inside staff. And Romero's set to return for Chelsea. And that just brings back mean flashbacks. Just absolutely nightmare situation at the bridge. Yeah, dude, Kugare, no hair mop is safe with Romero around. So even Newcastle midweek is going to be tough. So we're getting into the meat of it, and they're not going to be perfect. And I know they're not going to be perfect, but that does not change how I feel about wanting to win every game. So yeah, big tests. I'm excited to see where it goes, but plus 10 goal differential is great. We've scored more goals than Arsenal. Man City is the only other team that scored 17, which is hilarious because I'm just talking about our offensive output being not that great. So when you bag set pieces, I guess you can really pad those stats.
And it's not just one man named Holland scoring all of your goals. So
right.
I think they might be relying too heavy on that guy right now to carry them.
Well, I think it's one of those things when they were at their best, they weren't needing to as much. Obviously, he still scored goals for them, but like you're right. When I think you're spot on. They may be relying.
Dude, I'm looking at their team right now for the season, for the Premier League at least. No other player has more than 1 goal.
Yeah, which is wild.
My counterpoint
they
to
have
that,
dogs that should be able to.
That's the thing. They do have guys that should be. And my counterpoint though is like Why would you not? Well, that's what I
100%.
watched for 8 years with Harry Kane. Like Harry Kane had Sonny as an outlet, but like it's different. And we've talked about him in the past, and we've given him stick for just being a one-trick tap-in pony and yada 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 yada. But I'm past all of that. I think he's one of the best finishers we've ever seen, and I think you just try and use that. But when it's not working, something's got to change. And truthfully, Pep's the guy that you would think can make it change. So I'm still scared of them. Even beating them away 2-0 at the beginning of the season, terrified of those guys.
Funny, I was literally just looking at the table, and it was never on my bingo card that 9 games in it would read Arsenal, Bournemouth, Spurs, Sunderland.
Sunderland is City in 5th.
But like literally, like of the teams that I see in the top 10, like genuinely, I think City's the only one that's gonna maybe push Arsenal to a title challenge.
Yeah, and you guys are 3 points out of third. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's still tight. We're still early.
We're just so young, and our defense is so hit or miss that I don't know if I feel comfortable with putting all of our money in the consistency of Chelsea Football Club at the moment. But
that's not really your thing, for sure.
Yeah, never. But outside of the Premier League, obviously we have a bunch of spicy games this weekend, as we said. London derby between Spurs and Chelsea. But the other big derby that happened over the weekend was El Clasico. And boy, was this a spicy one. I don't know if you two happened to catch this game, but there was pretty much everything. There was red cards, there was penalties, there was fights, some good footy, some bad footy. But Real Madrid ends up taking it home 2-1. It was super spicy. Obviously, these two sides do not like each other at all. They are first and second in La Liga at the moment, so this game meant a lot. I thought there was a call in the first half that was made early on an Mbappe penalty. It could be one of the worst VAR decisions I've ever seen. If you guys didn't see it, you should really go back and watch it. Pretty much Vinny Jr. was about to go shoot, and Yamal put his foot like in between the ball and where he was like about to shoot, and he just kicked the back of his foot, which stopped him from shooting. Yamal never touched the ball. And they reversed the penalty. It was a called penalty on the field. They then went to VAR and reversed it. The angle that they were showing the referee was awful. It made it look like Yamal was touching the ball when he wasn't. Awful call. So if you have some time, go back and watch that. But later on in the game, Mbappe had another goal that was called offsides. It was a wonder strike. It was a volley at the top of the box. That I thought was a banger of a goal. He was called offsides by like his arm/shoulder blade. He was barely off. But then he finally did get on the score sheet, what was in the 22nd, and then Jude scored the game winner in the 43rd. He kind of had to tap in. But it got really spicy at the end of the game. Both benches were pretty much cleared. Xabi Alonso had to pull his entire team away from the Barcelona. And yeah, if you guys watched, I'd want to hear what you guys had to think about it. But another spicy El Clasico for us.
Dude, there's only a couple of games out there that really drive the emotion like this one. And I would argue North London Derby's up there as one of the more emotionally charged games, but I don't think anyone can lay a glove on the Clasico. And personally, football fan here, I love it, dude. I love it. These guys, you forget that at the end of the day, yes, they're professionals. Yes, they're getting paid to do this, but they're also just ballers, and they want to fucking win, bro.
They're fucking
yes, dude. I love it. I eat that alive, and it makes for good TV. I know, always the commentators are like, "Oh, this is just a bad look." No, more of it. I want all of that. I want fists thrown on the pitch.
And we get it more as football fans, but those in America especially who haven't been converted yet to this great game and haven't fully gotten to understand it, more of this would make it more interesting for the casual or non-football fan to want to watch it more. So I'm all for it too. When we get to see Yamal and his Spain teammate Carvajal going at it in the middle of the pitch, I love it. And then you throw in a Szczesny pen save to just light a fire underneath Barcelona, right there at the beginning of the second half. against Mr. France himself. It was a sick game. I didn't get to watch all of it,
So fun.
but
It's always a good one,
buddy.
And I
Quick
think
shout,
as a neutral, it's such a good watch.
Marcus Rashford. I will give it to the guy. He is. I don't want to say like, well, we're not talking like completely revitalize his career, but a little bit. Yeah, dude, you can ball at Barcelona and you'll get shouts for England and etc. So
he looks like he's having fun.
Right,
it's
bro,
something that we haven't seen him do.
I mean, who wouldn't be having fun playing winger for Barcelona?
Yeah,
right. He's one of those guys too, and like even when he was throwing a fit at United and United guys wanted him out and all this stuff, I don't think anyone's ever really disliked him. He did so many great things during COVID for Manchester, and he's a good dude all around. But Dobes and Hen may have different opinion, but I've always kind of appreciated him as a decent dude, and I think it's always nice to see the good guys kind of make that
party every once in a while.
That's okay, bro. That's okay. Who doesn't?
Hey, and I heard Barcelona's a pretty good place to party, so he's probably having a great old time out there.
It's a lot better weather than Manchester.
That is right. But that will wrap it up for us here at the Mecca of Banter podcast. As always, make sure you're following us on the socials. I would love to see some comments here and there. If you've made it this far in our podcast, can you please start throwing some questions and some ideas / spicy takes on our comment section? I would love to get in some fights with you. Would love it. And
we're the type of guys to just send you a link. If you want to pop in, we'll chat. We'll just let you in. Yeah.
Exactly. We were about to have JP on because he was talking shit. Just come on. Brilliant.
This is not an exclusive podcast group. If you want on, if you got opinions, just let us know. We'll throw you the link. Get ready to record.
Absolutely. But as always, cheers, boys. Appreciate it, you guys, for being on.
Well done, lads.
Cheers, boys.